To move around the menu on our coffee machine G335, first thing we need to locate is the programming button. It will be labeled programming button. If you press it once, you're gonna hear a beep. Then we're gonna learn how to move around the actual menu once you're inside the programming menu. So the keys work as follows: up, down, enter, exit, left, and right button. Some special cases, like linking programming, you will need to use the refund button as a back button. And another important point on the keypad is going to be the numerical items. Like for instance, when you're programming prices, you're going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. Up, down, enter, exit, left, right, special cases, back button, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. You want to adjust your grinder when either you have a water coming out either too fast into the cup or it's only dripping. And we'll show some examples in this video on when you need to adjust to the grinder. Another thing you need to know that the machine will self-adjust if you have it on automatic. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you switch from coarse bean, it will also adjust automatically. It will take some time to be able to adjust, but once you get it to the right setting, it's going to continue to adjust on its own. So it's not going to be needed to be doing it too often unless you're switching out beans really often. If you go from a dark roast to a medium roast, you might need to do some adjustments. If you go from a light roast to a really dark roast, then for sure you're going to need to make some adjustments. So let's scroll down to the option machine menu. Coffee machine configuration, enter. Grind control options, press enter. So if you want to move the teeth of the grinder, you need to go to the manual grind adjustment. Press enter. So here it gives you two options: to go finer, which means they're gonna get the teeth of the grinder are gonna get tighter, and then coarser. They're gonna open up the teeth of the grinder. So in order to adjust it, all you gotta do is press enter, and it will give you a count of what the adjustments you made immediately. Now, if you back out and you come back in, that count it's gone. It doesn't keep track of that, so you gotta keep that in mind. Okay, we suggest when you're adjusting your grinder, do 3 at a time. After you do the 3 adjustments, we recommend to do 3 cups of coffee at least in order to see the changes, because the doser will have some remaining grounds inside of the prior grounds that it did before you made the adjustment. So always make 3 coffees. An example of how the coffee comes out when it's properly adjusted. It's like a fine powder, but not too fine, so it allows the water to go through the actual hockey puck. It usually comes in that shape when it's properly adjusted. So you can see that it's not really fine, but it's just about there. If it's too tight, like the grinder teeth, what you're going to get is that you're barely going to get any water into the cup, if any. When it starts dripping into the cup, it means that you need to go coarser. When it's the water is falling in really fast into the cup, most likely the grinder, if you have an automatic adjustment, is gonna adjust itself to finer. But that's going to depend on what's happening at the moment. So it's almost like a fine powder. This will be considered a proper water flow into the cup. It gives you an idea of how fast the water should be coming out. So in this case, the water is not even going through. See how it's like a bit, well, it's actually almost nothing going into the cup. So in this case, it's considered to be a problem, and then you will need to adjust your grinder coarser. Remember just to go 3 at a time, just to avoid going too much coarser on that. And then 3 at a time, and run 3 cups every time. Another thing to keep in mind is the brewing speed. Basically, the way it comes standard is 6 pulses per second. That means it's every second the pump should pulse 6 times. Now, if you look at the last brewing speed, basically the last cup you brew, in this case, 2.64 pulses per second. That means it's so tight that there's barely any water going in. This should be a little bit closer into the 6 pulses per second. This will be something about a bit tighter, than the normal, but it'll still work and it'll give you a really good coffee. It all depends on the clientele that you have. Here we're right around 4 pulses per second. We could still maybe go 1 coarser. Again, once you leave it in right around between 4 and 6, the machine is gonna be playing with the adjustment on its own. So you always want to leave it as close as possible, but again, it'll self-adjust on its own. So this will give you a good cup of coffee. It all depends on your beans as well, so just keep that in mind.